Hi there from Somerset. Julia and I are just visiting a rapidly being refurbished Sheppys cider farm, which is not far from Taunton. You can find it on the map. We've been coming here on and off for years, and they're undergoing a lot of refurbishment. You used to only to be able to get their cider quite locally, but they've been expanding. I'm just having a chat with the young lady in the shop, telling her how glad I was that we could get Sheppy's cider in Sainsbury's, which we now can. She said, yeah, they've had a good deal with Sainsbury's, so shout out for them. They're making a lot of new varieties, cider with honey, cider with raspberry, but this is the old-fashioned ones, and I'm glad to say we're making these three classics: Sheppy's Bullfinch, Sheppy's Goldfinch. These are both sparkling ciders. This is dry, and this is medium. So this is the policeman whistling by. This is Sheppy's Gold Medal, and this, if anyone is interested, this is my favourite cider in the whole world, and I have, put it this way, drunk a lot of cider. Sheppy's Gold Medal, I don't think there is a cider anywhere in the world, including my own, which is as good as this. And I just happened to have bought a Sheppy's glass as well. And anyway, I think we're going to just go for a little walk in the orchard, aren't we? Possibly, Julia.
Sounds like a good idea.
Well, you can tell. I'm a great believer in large pockets. And yeah. Look, what are you fishing barley today as well? Yes, we're holding the West Country. And yeah, it's cold, it's April. It's still a pretty chilly time of year. We've come down to get away from busyness in Hampshire. Down to Somerset Devon border. In fact, we stayed at a pub called the Anchor Inn. You can find it, and it's just on the River Exe, which at this place, although not throughout this whole length, forms the boundary between Devon and Cornwall. No, it was like Devon and Somerset. So our pub was our bed was in Devon, and we walked across the river. We were in Devon, walked across the river in Somerset. So a nice place to stay. It's a little bit early for the trout. I did catch a few trout at the Wimbledon Reservoir. But this is about Sheppy's cider. This is one of the, obviously, they're getting bigger. It's one of the places they make cider, obviously. Some of it is matured in oak casks. A lot of it, obviously, these days it will be stainless steel. Or polythene. I'm glad to see Sheppy's getting bigger, because these days, to some extent, you've got to get bigger or get out. That's the way it is. I like to see this. A lot of new trees being planted. Here's a cider tree. It's a traditional, reasonably large cider tree. Of course, most of the modern plantings are pyramids, planted close together. They crop heavier and sooner. It's an important thing. But one of the nice things about Sheppy's cider farm is that it's a tourist attraction. You can drop in and park your car. You can pet the animals, if you like, and you can walk in their orchards. And long may that continue to be the case. And we're just walking into one of the Sheppy orchards. They do maintain some of the very old traditional cider apple trees. As in the past, and to some extent still today, but in the past, traditionally, every farm would have maybe a quarter of an acre or so of cider apple trees. And the thing is, they were very big trees, very tall, large, spreading trees on giant rootstocks. They'd maybe be planted 40 feet apart. And the same was true for pears, maybe even further apart. They were so widely spaced that you'd
a funny noise.
Funny pair of ducks. Ruddy ducks, are they?
I have no
I don't
idea.
know.
They seem quite disturbed by us being here.
Ross. Okay, we can move. I was saying, traditionally, you'd find that each farmhouse in the older times, well, I'm not necessarily saying better times, I'm just saying older times, farms would be more self-sufficient, they'd be producing several different things, and you'd have some animals on every farm. You walk through the mud this way, and you'd have your cider trees planted very widely apart. They would require almost no care at all, and you could graze animals underneath them. Not like a modern orchard, but this is a traditional old orchard we're just walking into now.
I wish I'd got my boots on.
And here we are in the heart of Somerset, and this is Perry cider. This is Sheppy's cider farm here in Somerset, and they make, in my opinion, the best cider you can get anywhere. And here are some old trees. The rows are very straight. You can see how big this tree is. I can't quite hide behind it, but you can see it's a pretty big tree. And you could imagine geese, pigs or sheep in between these trees. I'm just going to paste this up to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 paces. Here's 12 of my paces, so about 30 feet. These trees seem to be on a square farm. They're very nice straight lines. Just go walking, watch out for the mud, Julia.
I am watching out for the mud.
Yeah. This looks like a grafting mark. I can't say that for certain, but in some of the books I've read, they've recommended, with Perry pears, they've recommended to actually do the grafting at about 6 feet tall, so they'd use a really large old stock, and they would do the whole thing grafted at 6 feet.
And that would be wise if you were grazing underneath,
the tree
because then
would,
your
yeah.
shoots would be out of the reach of the sheep.
Yeah, the tree would maybe live over 100 years. It says there is a signpost somewhere saying how old these trees are, but you can see it makes some beautiful lines. Lovely straight line that way, straight line that way, and you can see some quite nice avenues, not like our orchard where it's incredibly untidy. This is a professional, proper serious cider orchard. And you'd have a microcosm of this on every small farm. You'd have just maybe a small area, probably near the farmyard, and there would geese or cattle or sheep or pigs would be underneath there. You can raise grass underneath them, and the animals graze the grass down, they drop their dung there, and they get some shelter as well. And maybe as well with chickens they eat up some of the pests. Anyway, that's how old-fashioned mixed farming used to go on. Next to the orchard, this is a big old cider orchard. I'm not going to apologise for the length of this, because if you're bored by cider apples, then you would have turned off anyway. And if you're interested, well, you might never get a chance to come to this lovely place. So, you're probably quite interested in this. This is a more modern dwarf pyramid. By the way, I'm dying of thirst here. I haven't had a pint of Sheppys for I don't know how long. Do excuse me. Julia's driving the rest of the way. I've done a share of driving.
That's why I've got coffee.
Yeah, well, I drove on the fiddly little roads, so you'll be driving on the short step down from here too. You'll notice this is a still cider.
What a lovely sound.
What a lovely colour. And this is a traditional strength, 7.5%. But these trees are worth observing. Maybe a little bit of, tiny little bit of dissolved carbon dioxide in that. Tiny bit.
So do these still class as dwarf pyramids growing to that height? What height are they? Oh, just a tasting moment.
Sheppy's cold medal.
It seems to have brought a smile to your lips.
You can observe that these have been trained as centre leader dominant pyramids. None of them is a perfect shape, but this one here, that's quite tall, you can see it's got a centre leader dominant. You've got branches coming out all the way up, starting at about 6 feet, and they're largely left alone. And the idea is
off some big branches.
Yeah, the idea is that the weight of fruit will bend them down, and they'll fruit more as they're bent down. You can see the orchard's being renewed slightly, and we're just walking to the end where there's a brand new orchard has been planted.
There's a bit of new planting just here.
Here we can see, maybe some trees have died, maybe they've changed varieties. There are some new ones. You'll see that
new maidens.
Tree guards, and we saw quite a few hundred at the top end. A fair number of hundreds of trees from a nursery which are presumably actively planted. My heart is really in many ways with these beautiful traditional old orchards of standards. I mean, just come and stand exactly here and just look down. Look this way, beautiful symmetry of these trees overarching, and they're meeting in the middle. You could see they could be a little further apart. These trees they're beautiful. You can graze animals under them, you can graze people, and people can have a wonderful picnic under, and a jazz festival or whatever. In Normandy they have this jazz sous les pommiers, so music festivals under the big orchard apple trees. My heart really is towards this kind of planting. With this kind of planting behind us, there is no doubt, the science is unequivocal. You will get a heavier crop and you will get it sooner. So this is the way things tend to be planted. These are pyramid, very tall, upright, centre leader dominant, relatively lightly pruned trees, kept maintaining a pyramid shape, and they're planted about 10 feet apart. But walking down here with the pyramid orchard on our left and the standard orchard on our right, it's very interesting to compare and contrast, because these are planted twice as close together in the rows, and there are twice as many rows. So that's about 4 times as many trees per acre. We were just talking to the young lady in the farm shop, and I asked if they had any perry. I know they never have done when I've been here before. And she said, not yet, but we should have in 2 years, because they've just planted a couple of thousand perry pears, and they've extended their acreage, they've bought some new land and planted more, and this is what we're just going to have a look at over here.
And this is another argument in favour of the modern pyramid trees rather than the old standards, isn't it? That you get fruit within 5 years, whereas on these old trees,
Look back down on the beautiful
these were probably
avenue.
20 years before they started fruiting.
Yeah, that's right. People were more patient perhaps in the past, I don't know. You could have this big argument, couldn't you? And it's an argument that's been had 100 times about everything. Horses versus motor cars, the sniper rifle versus the machine gun, writing a letter versus email. Yeah.
Until we had the dwarfing rootstocks, people had no choice but to graft onto seedling apple.
That much is true, and long live the scientists of East Malling and Long Ashton who developed these. But in the next field we can see even closer together, we've just seen, I can't hop over this barbed wire fence right here, but you can see, I hope, in this next tree, the rows are about 12 feet apart, but the trees, all of which are well feathered, I think 2-year-old maiden trees, centre leader dominant pyramid type, they are twice as close together as the ones in the row that we've just seen. Incidentally, and going back to my pruning videos, I don't know if the more observant of you can see anything on the quality of this film, but a lot of big saw cuts have been made. Large saw cuts have been made there, and that's what I've tried to demonstrate in my pruning videos. But anyhow, if you just hand me the camera, so I can reach up a little higher than you, just want to look through this big orchard here. Well, this orchard here that I can see, it looks as though it's about twice the size of the whole of our holding. I think she said they just planted 20 acres, and this looks about 20 acres, and I don't remember this being here when we were last here. In fact, yeah, this looks about 20 acres, and the trees look about 2 years old. So this is a brand new planting of, I think, pears. At the Bradford, Bradford on Taunton Sheppys cider. Anyway, I think that's, if I go on any more, I'll certainly be at risk of repetition, but I'll just take a 360-degree shot here. So here's the new pear orchard. I believe this is pear orchard from my information. New pear orchard has been planted here at Sheppys, and there's a mature and established and very productive, and probably that's where the fruit came from, that's in my glass right now. So here is an orchard of closely planted dwarf pyramids. I would guess they're probably on 106 stock, but I don't know. And here is a beautiful traditional grass orchard of large standard cider apple trees here at Sheppys. So if you love cider and you love the country, then if you're ever passing through this way, not far from Bradford on Taunton, then if I were you, I should drop into Sheppys and see if I've got any gold label left. If you like Magners, you might not like this, but hey, we'll allow you to try some.